if you're going to pay attention to the bad information, you also got the negative, you also got to pay attention to the positive. So if the negative is penetrating you, let the positive. I'm going to tell you how awesome you are, and you're not going to believe me. And then somebody else is going to tell you suck, and you're going to believe them. That's not fair. Don't do that to me, and don't do that to yourself. And then after you start believing both of those, just let them weigh the same, because none of that really matters. Me saying you're wonderful and they saying you're not, none of it really matters. What really matters is how you feel about yourself.
Welcome to the Betty Rocker Show, the place to be to nourish your mind, love your body, and rock your life. Welcome back, rock stars. So great to have you here to join me in welcoming today's brilliant guest, Kenay Corder. She is a nationally certified counselor and clinical hypnotherapist, best-selling author, international speaker, and the CEO of Presidential Lifestyle, a wellness company focused on wealth in all of its forms. As a former Morgan Stanley financial advisor, Kenay realized that people needed help with more than just stock picks and portfolios. They were stressed out about the idea of reaching the American dream, and that stress was actually getting in the way of them reaching it. Kenay shifted to therapy in 2014 and has become the world's #1 clinical hypnotherapist specializing in stress and anger management. Her work today encompasses helping people unlock their subconscious beliefs around money, love, and success so they no longer have to sacrifice their well-being to create a life of meaning. Kenay Corder, welcome, welcome, welcome. It is so good to have you here.
It's so good to be here. I was looking forward to this for days and days. I couldn't wait. I was like waiting for it. Oh, it's coming Friday. Yeah.
Yay, I know. And I was also I've been learning so much from your podcast, and I just highly recommend that to all of my listeners. It's the Money and Meaning podcast. And that's just so encapsulating of what you're about,
exactly.
What your brand is about.
Yep.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. It came together. It just was like all of these words over my life have unfolded in different ways. And coming from a background in finance, and when I say finance, that can mean so many different things. I was a financial advisor, specifically a financial planning specialist with Morgan Stanley. And there was so much around money. But I also had this like life of meaning thing rolling around in the background. So I'm doing two jobs at the same time. On one hand, I'm helping people find meaning in life. On another hand, I'm helping people invest their money and create this financial plan. And then eventually I was like, can we do these together?
Right, because it's almost like there was a missing piece for people somehow who were just focused on money alone.
Exactly.
And one of the lovely messages that you have is the search for meaning over money, which is the slogan, I believe, of your brand. So you're a hypnotherapist. You help people uncover subconscious belief systems, old pattern shifts, right? Is that correct? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay.
So I don't say it wrong.
Okay. As I mentioned before, I was a financial advisor for many years. And what I found was people needed help with more than stock picks and, the numbers. It wasn't about the numbers. There was trauma and anxiety and all of these stories and money history that was really holding them back for executing on any financial plan I created, no matter how beautiful it was. And I'm seeing this over and over and over again, but I didn't have any tools to help them. And when they didn't execute on the plan, it kind of hurt my feelings. So I'm like, wait a minute, I spent all these hours working on this plan, and now you want to go buy something that we did not put in the plan and circumvent the whole plan? Like, what the? And so like that happening over and over and over again made me just look deeper. And I found behavioral finance. And then I found financial therapy. But then I was like, but wait a minute, financial therapy is not quite enough. We really need some real therapy going on here. So I went back to school, got my master's in mental health counseling, and I started out working in the hospital with the real diagnosis, schizophrenia, schizoaffective, bipolar, like those diagnoses, because I really wanted to know what that was about. And what I found was that trauma was driving a lot of those diagnoses. And even though they come up on a chart, a patient's chart, what doesn't come up is the trauma. And that was also what was driving those money challenges that people were having. And so I started putting like all these pieces together. And what I found was that there were two things that were tied together that we hadn't tied together. And that was money and love. So all the things we do in life, we do to get love. Whether we're on the playground trying to get the attention of our friends, whether we're at home trying to get the attention of our parents, whether we grow up and we're trying to get the love of our children, especially if we're divorced and we want to be the best parent, right? I'm the better parent, love me more. And so I'm seeing all of these little things happening, but nobody is talking about them. Nobody is talking about how money affects our everyday life, except for just spend it. Now go out, buy some things, and you should feel better. Like, don't worry about the rest of stuff. Just feel better about money because you can spend it. If you have it, you're good. If you don't have it, you're not. Those are the only two rules in this game. But there was so much more to it, especially when I tied in the trauma and the love. As I was doing that, I wanted a healing modality that was what I call non-invasive, like non-invasive surgery. And so I chose hypnotherapy by accident because my very last class in my master's program, my professor was a hypnotherapist and she did hypnotherapy on me. We just made up a story. She said, just make up a story, pretend like you're a client. And we just made up a story. But even though the story was made up, when I left that chair, I felt different. I was like, something happened, something healed. I was different. And after that, I was like, gotta do the hypnotherapy. So I became a hypnotherapist, and luckily for me, it was very early in my therapy career. So I've been healing and changing lives since day one as a therapist. And I don't have like 2-year-long relationships with my patients. It's like 6 months mostly. But just to see the changes that happen in a very short time. These are people sometimes who have diagnosis like schizophrenia, bipolar, and they are healed from their old trauma. And that alone, like you talk about meaning, that has brought so much meaning to my life. Like being a therapist is meaningful, but healing is really where the meaning.
Oh my gosh. I'm just sitting here just thinking it through. And let me think, that's such a powerful connection. It's like in functional medicine when the doctors really want to go to the root cause of what the issue is. Mm-hmm. This is what you went on this journey to figure out the root cause of these people who are struggling with their relationship with money.
Yeah.
It's not about the money at all. It's actually about love and also about trauma. And we know that trauma creates a lot of issues around the way we feel about how we get love, how we feel about loving ourselves, worthiness. That just basically creates all these byproducts and all of these symptoms, in a sense, that we then are dealing with, and all these patterns develop. And it really takes, I think, someone special, a special type of therapist to get at the root cause, a special type of doctor when we're in clinical practice to get at what is really going on beneath the surface. And thank you for sharing that story
welcome.
Because
thank you for understanding
that's
it.
Powerful.
And explaining
that's
it.
Powerful. Well, I talked through it because I'll just share that, for myself, a lot of my issues in life around, my physical body and feeling like unworthy and unlovable came from childhood sexual trauma. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I went to PT, like I got my brain scanned and was referred to EMDR therapy. And I spent a lot of time doing that work, and also got to do a lot of neural feedback and some deep trauma work. And I've just had such amazing practitioners be in my life that I've gotten to work with. And it has completely changed not only my relationship with myself, but with other people around me, my relationship in my business, to how I run it, to my team, like all of these things. So it has this beautiful ripple effect when you get at the cellular level of the trauma, the root of what is bothering you.
Yeah.
So that's some deep work that you do.
Yes. And I'm so honored, so lucky to be able to do this work. It's like, you know how when you go to a store or something like that and people say like, thank you for doing business with us, or it was a pleasure doing business with you, or, like they say those blanket statements. And I used to just think like, whatever, that's BS. You know what? They don't care about me. But now I say it to my patients. I'm like, thank you for choosing me as your therapist. Like, I'm getting as much out of therapy as they are. It is they say is better to give than to receive. Well, in therapy, there's this exchange. It's not really like a give or receive. I'm not really giving them anything, and they're not really receiving, and vice versa, right? They're not really giving me anything, except if you think about it like they're giving me their trauma, like, just, here, take it, lady, you can have it. I don't want it anymore. But they're not really giving me anything. But there's this beautiful exchange that happens in therapy if you let it. And that exchange is so gratifying. It's almost, like it's gratifying is a word that I would have to use to describe it. But it's almost like when you eat like the best meal, like it's healthy and it's delicious.
You're fulfilled.
Yes.
It's fulfilling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like what you just nailed too is like, this is the exchange in business that should always be the case, right? Because money is, in my opinion, money is energy.
Yes.
You know, and and I feel like this when I get to actually directly talk to so many of my customers thanks to social media, and I am sincerely grateful that they chose me for this part of their journey.
Yes.
And to me, it fulfills me to hear about their success, to hear about what transformed for them. It's so meaningful to me. I'm blessed to have an abundant life these days in my life. And to me, the money is a byproduct of the value that I've been able to create for people in the world. And that is what you're saying about business and about this exchange of value at every level of business.
Yes.
And I just appreciate what you're saying so much.
You know, I'm a little woo-woo, right? You listen to enough of my...
I love how woo-woo you are.
So,
yeah, you're just right.
The universe is saying that right now, somebody, or a lot of your listeners, one of the two, because sometimes it could just be for one person, I'm getting this message, and it's around feeling like men have the power and the money. And so like, oh, men have the power, they have the money, and then women are under them. And like that exchange, like, okay, so now I have to give him whatever he needs, right? Love, most likely. I have to give him what he needs in order for me to get this money. Otherwise, I can't be a millionaire. I can't be a millionaire or successful or whatever, or wealthy, unless I marry rich, or unless my man helps me get there, or unless I somehow take advantage of. And so the message that I'm getting is around power, taking advantage, and definitely somewhere around men having that power and taking it from women. So if you...
Let's talk about that.
Okay. That's what I was getting.
Let's talk about that. That's good. I'm glad you brought up that theme, because, you know, the world is a changing place every day. Yeah. Things are changing and shifting. And I see this transformation in the women that I talk to, because many of them are not business owners. Mm-hmm. Many of them are, you know, some of them are, some of them aren't. And they're focused primarily when they work with me on their physique, on their body, right? Mm-hmm. But I just posted something the other day. There's this great quote I got from this trainer in the UK named Georgina Cox, and it says, "I want to look good for men, but I crossed out the N, and so it's I want to look good for me." And that's a powerful shift in our consciousness that I thought was such an important message, because you're talking about this with money. I'm talking about this with our body, with our physicality. Yeah. And there's this beautiful shift and this awareness rising as we women have these conversations very openly about, hey, this is the way it's been for a long time. Let's shift that. Let's take that power into ourselves. Let's look good for ourselves. Let's make money for ourselves. Mm-hmm. But what in this money conversation do you see and about around power and how what women can do, and a new way to think about it?
So one, I always am going to go back into the money story. Like, what was the story, right? What was the father and the mother like? What was the grandparents like? What's the money story? Because it came from what you saw. And somewhere between 0 and 5, 0 and 7, you put in place this idea of what money was. You didn't know you did it, but you made some interpretations, and you decided, this is what money is. This is what I need to do with it. This is how I get it. And at the same time, 0 to 7, 0 to 5, you were also creating this idea of love. This is how I get love. Mm. Now, later on in life, you merge those two together. This is how I get love. I'll use money to get love. Now, some of us are spenders, right? I'll buy you things in order to get love. I'll buy. In fact, I'll buy me things, because the more I spend on me, my nails, my hair, my clothes, I'm going to attract you. Or I'm going to save money. I'm going to save it so well that you don't have to take care of me. That's how much I love you.
Mm.
Right. Or the enthusiast is going to buy the bar. Everybody have a good time. I'm going to make it all. Everybody will be happy. And so that, that's another money, what I call money mentality. And then there's the hero who seems like a spender because they do spend on people, but mostly for needs, not want. So hero is the one that's going to pay the mortgage that you can't pay. You miss the car note, or get the boot off of your car because you mismanaged your money. The hero is the one that you go to when you have a problem, and they will always be there for you. And that's one way of getting love. Another way is the artist. And the artist is like, well, we don't have to talk about money right now. And that's how an artist loves you. It's just like, let's just not talk about the money. It'll be fine. We'll figure it out down the road. It's okay. And then when you get down the road and then you give them that big fat invoice and they go, what? I wasn't expecting this. And you go, and then anxiety comes and you're like, oh, how do we handle this? I probably should have did this earlier, but this is the money I want. But then again, I don't want to be confrontational. And so it goes down this whole thing. And so first part of finding the power is awareness. Where are you? Who are you? And it's no judgment in what you are. If you want to know, I was a hero. I was a hero for years. I love taking care of people. I did it since I was like 5 years old. My big sister got into a fight, or argument, I should say, with this 10-year-old girl. My sister was 9. My sister's a sweetheart and really, really pretty. And she's not going to fight. She is not a fighter. So I'm looking out the window. And back then I was a tomboy. I wasn't wearing this stuff. And so I was a tomboy and I'm 5 years old. And I look out the window and I see my sister stressed. And I'm like, she's not going to be able to solve this problem for herself. I get up off of the couch, walk out of the house, down to the corner where my sister is being bullied. I punch the girl in the stomach, turn around, walk right back in the house, sit back on the couch like nothing ever happened. And but something did happen. And it was big. And my mother, my grandmother, my sister, everybody was like, oh, love me on me. Even the girl that I punched in the stomach, she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was bullying your sister. She's apologizing to me like something happened. And I was like, okay, I see how you get love. You got to take care of people. That's how you get love. And so in the beginning, it was, taking up for my sister. It was taking up for my brother. And later, I just did it with dollar signs. I was like, what do you need? Oh, right here. What do you need now?
I'll solve that problem. Right.
What? Just write the check. And nowadays, it's just like, let me just cash app it to you or whatever. And zeal it to you. That was me. I was always taking care of everybody. And that was the way I got love, except it didn't bring me love. It brought me stress and frustration and resentment. And then I was mad at everybody and they were mad at me. And why is she so holier than thou? Why she thinks she's better than everybody? The reason why she thinks she's better than everybody is because everybody keeps calling her, treating her like she's better than they are. So that's why she thinks she's better than everybody. And so that was my attitude, right? And I was mad at them. And then I'm like, wait, lady, you created this monster. You did this, not them. You told them it was okay to call you. So it goes back to those boundary crossing events. A bunch of them was happening. I could have said no a long time ago. But I didn't until 2010. So that was when I realized I don't want to be a hero anymore. I just want to be a guide. I'll help people. I'll guide you. I'll show you how to improve your credit. I'll show you how to do all the things. Get the money you want, the wealth. I'll show you how to start a side hustle, whatever it is that you need to do to get your own money, but you're not getting mine. Not anymore.
Wow. So I thank you for sharing. You basically just shared the hero's journey with us. And you went from the hero in your archetypes that you set up to the guide.
Yeah.
You touched on something in that that I wanted to ask more about. You talked about those boundary crossing events, which you've dubbed BCEs, because I'm a fan of your podcast. And I love that little saying that you have about BCEs. So tell us about how boundaries show up in this whole equation around money and how we are in relationship to it.
Yeah, it's so freaking easy. It's like all these time you haven't really, you don't really have a tool to figure it out. But let me tell you, it's so easy. And this is how you know. You got to trust your body, right? So the person says, can you lend me? Can I borrow? Whatever, right? They ask the thing. And then in your body, you feel either really good. Like, oh, I get to take care of Bree? Yes, absolutely. Here you go. Thank you for asking me. I'm so honored. Or you go, again, here we go. Fine, right? Maybe that's not what you say out your mouth, but down and deep inside, you're like, oh. So you know the difference when you feel, and even if the words aren't there, when your gut crunches up like, oh, not again, right? Or if you feel it in your heart, like, oh, yay, I get to take care of Bree. If you feel it like, freaking Bree again.
Right.
Yep. It's just that. Am I helping or am I pleasing? Am I helping or am I pleasing?
You can feel those two feelings, but then a lot of the times we act on the feeling even when it's negative. We violate our own boundaries, right? Like people are going to ask us stuff all the time, but what seems most important is that we're strong enough in ourselves to honor our feeling.
Right.
So how do we do that?
So it goes back to what we were just talking about earlier, and that is awareness. First, just have the awareness without any judgment, because you want to either judge them, you want to judge you want to judge the situation. Like, no judgment. Just be aware. I felt like I didn't want to do it, but I did it anyway. I'm aware that I didn't want to do it. I'm aware that they were crossing my boundaries and I allowed it. I'm aware of that, but I did it anyway. Just be aware. And then the next time it happens, or the next 3 times, however long it takes you, just be aware, notice, just notice. After you notice, then it's like, well, what would it be like if I said no? Oh, they're going to get so mad. Okay. And then what? And then they might not speak to me. Okay, great. Because when they call, the only time they ever call you is when they want something anyway. So that might be a good thing.
Right. Because if this all comes back to love, if our relationship style, like if we're always saying yes to people when we want to say no, and we're violating that boundary in ourselves, we got to examine our relationship with what love means to us there, right? Like you're saying, that's so powerful. Yeah. I really appreciate you explaining that.
And then let's add to that once you notice, and then you say, okay, what part of this do I accept, right? This is my sister. This is who she is. She always calls me for money. Or this is my cousin or my parent, even. This is who I'm dealing with. Or let's take it out of the hero and let's put it in something like the saver. The saver is not going to give money. So if there's the saver listening saying, I would never do that. Right. So let's talk to both sides. So the saver is like, I would have said no anyway. No, because we got to hold on to this money. I can't give it to you. So sorry. But this is what I do for love. Right. But at the same time, the saver has anxiety just around the ask itself. Just that people are coming to them because they know this. Everybody knows the saver. There's no secret who the saver is. So they know they're going to get requests. And they get that same anxiety to say no, the same anxiety that we say yes to, the heroes. And so we want to know what it is that what are you trying to accomplish, right? You got to be clear on that. What result are you trying to accomplish here? And you ask yourself that question. You're not going to know the answer right away. This is why I stress no judgment. Don't judge yourself. This is not about right or wrong. It is about clarity. You just get to know yourself a little better and a little better and a little better. And as you begin to get to know yourself, then you say, the feeling that I want is love, or just say you just want to feel good about it, right? I want to feel good when I give my sister money. I want to feel good when I give my parent money. I want to feel good even when I say no, because I'm saving for the future, right? I want to feel good about that and be okay. So what would it take? This is a question. What would it take for you to feel good about your decision? What would it take for you to be able to say no to your sister? What would it take? That's what you can put the end part, the stem of that has to stay. What would it take? And then the rest of it, you put whatever you need to put on there. But you ask yourself that question and then you answer it. Okay, so it might take my sister being thankful, because maybe I would be okay if she was thankful for it, right? It may take her never having to ask me again. Like, okay, I'm going to do this thing and then she's going to be good. And from here on out, she'll be responsible, right?
It's putting a lot of expectation
Right,
on
exactly.
someone else. But yeah, no, I see your point.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have to go, okay, so what part do I control?
Right. That's the key.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't control whether my sister is going to end up being responsible or not. I have zero control over that. I wish I did, but I don't. I might have influence, maybe, but not, that's even limited, right? And so,
Yeah.
so I don't control that. So now what would it take, right? I said it would take her being responsible from now on. Well, is that going to happen? No. So that now what would it take? Well, then it would take me knowing that she's not going to be responsible, but me giving it freely and just saying, oh, well, okay, is that possible? No, because I don't want to do it. Okay,
Right.
you don't want to do it. Now we're getting somewhere. Let's be honest and say no. Now, first, it's going to hurt. When you finally get the strength to say no, let me tell you, they are going to hate you. They're going to talk about how awful you are. And I can't believe you. And you have better off than me. And you're more privileged. And you're prettier. Because you always had it better than me anyway. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, no, it's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whether they say it to your face or they say it to somebody in their own house.
Exactly.
You know that's what they're thinking.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And let it happen.
Right.
You're not going to die.
Because you're not in control of that.
Yeah.
That's not in your control.
Yep. So let's take it back to that male-female power.
Yeah.
Whether it is like in your work, in your job, you might have the same job as some other guy and he is getting paid more than you are. Then what would it take for you to get paid what he is? Now, there are statistics that say that men get paid more because they ask for more. So
I've seen that.
You can be mad at men for getting paid more if you want to, or you can freaking ask for what you want to get paid. Yeah, don't waste your energy being mad at them for getting paid more. Go in and get your money.
I love what you just said there about how to use your energy, directing your energy in a way that serves you instead of focusing on so much. I mean, we do need to put a certain amount of focus on what's not working, but it's important to be using your best self, your best energy to create what you want in the world. And you've talked about this a lot in your podcast, just about taking personal responsibility for what's yours to do.
Yes.
And how you can use your energy in a way to get what you need.
Yep.
And I love that. And I love that around that conversation of how, if you see someone, a man making more money than you, are you asking for it? And then if you, I don't know, talk more about that because this is your area of expertise. I appreciate it.
Yes. So one of the things that I've learned in the years of being in business, but also as a therapist, is that we as women, we don't have enough confidence. Now, what I've learned is that when it comes to men, you don't have to teach them confidence because they have it. 90% of men, I'm going to say it that high, 90% of men, even if they are self-conscious, you would never know it. They're going to walk in the room. They're going to tell you how great they are. They're going to tell you how big their stuff is. And they're going to tell you how much money they have. All these fish stories, right? Not even true. But it doesn't matter because that's how they feel. We don't feel like that. We feel smaller. And that's on us that we feel. That is not on them. And you've got to take your power back because the moment you give them the power and says, well, you tell me how to feel and you told me to feel small. So that's why I feel that way. No, you accepted that. You allowed that. You do not have to feel small. The only person who can make you feel small is you. So first of all, declare however you want to feel. You declare it, you decide it. And the way you do that is to start putting those pieces back together. Got to do your work. When you came out of your mother's womb, you were confident. You know how I know? Because you came out like, wah! Feed me, clothe me, laugh at my jokes. When I put my foot in my mouth, pay attention to me. All of that. That's what we do when we're babies. We don't.
I'm important.
Exactly.
I'm important. Yeah.
We just sit back and we get taken care of. And then we get older and older and older and all the things happen. The neighbor makes fun of you, chip away at your confidence. Some teacher says something, chip away at your confidence. Your parent says something. Somebody told me a story about their father not paying enough. Like they were in sports, their brother went to sports, father went to all the brother's sports games, never went to the daughter's sports games. Chipped away.
Yeah. And then there's the whole like paradigm of what you see modeled to you between the adults in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like how does the father treat the mother, or how do men treat women around you in the school system or in the grocery store? And like, where are you seeing these social paradigms playing out, and what are you picking up and absorbing as a result in order, as it relates to your gender identity?
Yep. And so that power, it was yours in the beginning, and it did get chipped away at. That part is not your fault. That we have to separate. Some of this stuff did happen to you, but it also happened through you, right? So you can like show the way to somebody else, or like you can move through. Now, this is I want to talk about this because a lot of times when people come to me, they're like, oh, this life lesson and this life lesson. Oh, this happened to me. This life lesson happened to me. And I'm like, there are no life lessons. Like the universe, God, whatever you believe in, is freaking busy and does not have time to give Kenay a lesson in life. There's billions of people in the world. And so if the universe was busy giving all of us lessons in the world, it couldn't grow trees and flowers and all the other things that need to happen. And tell me this, if the universe gives human lessons, wouldn't it have to give trees and flowers and lions and all the other things lessons too? Yeah, the universe don't have time for your lesson, the life lesson. So I'm about to give you some relief. Don't worry about life lessons because it's not happening. What the universe is doing is getting clarity. It's just saying, is this what you want, Bree? Is this what you want, Kenay? Because that's what you said. And I'm like, no. That guy is not the guy. It's like, no, please, not that one again. And so just getting clarity, getting clearer and clearer and clearer and more clear. And clear and clear and more clear. And then eventually universe says, is this it? And you're like, yes, you got it. But let me warn you, right before the universe gives you the ultimate thing that you're looking for, an imposter comes. I call it an imposter. You can call it whatever you like. It's like this fake version. It's like close, but not exactly. And so you can accept it and just be like, well, I can't ask for much more. I got mostly what I wanted. Or you can believe that it's out there. You're not smarter than God. If you thought of it, universe thought of it. So just keep asking. Just keep getting clarity. So instead of seeing it as this life lesson, just see it as a universe gaining clarity as to what you would like to experience. And the universe will throw a little pebble, and then it's going to throw a rock, and then it's going to throw a brick. And then it's going to throw a boulder, and then a whole wall is just going to come falling down on you. And you're going to call that wall a life lesson. But what was it all along? What about that little pebble? What was that? That was just a whisper like, hey, I was just wondering, is he tall? Is he short? Like, is he dark? Is he handsome? Is he sweet? Is he kind? Is he bold? Is he, whatever he is. And I use it in, relationships or love because that's the stuff that people understand the most. But we can even talk about the house, right? What is the house like? Is it a modern house? Is it a country house? Is it a craftsman house? Like, what does it look like? And so you might get it. You might put an offer on a house and it's so close to what you wanted. And then the offer doesn't go through and you're all heartbroken and you fight for that house. You're like, no, I want this house. This is my house. Or you could say, this might be happening through me. Like this might be something for me. You let the house go, and next thing you know, bam, this is the house. It even has the pool, and the other house didn't have that. Yes. And so clarity. You're saying what's so important is, well, I remember you talking about how important awareness is. So we have to be aware of this process that we're in when we're in it. And then the clarity of really, truly clarifying what it is that you actually want and continuing to clarify that for yourself. I think so many of us never really clarify what we want. We take what we've been given and we don't take the opportunity to develop awareness of, what's happening around us. And like you said, and it's truly that awareness, from that place of awareness, you can take personal responsibility to take your power back, to gain clarity over what it is that you actually want in life. And the clearer your message of what you want and what you want to create is, I feel like like you're saying,
the louder the universe hears you. And the
Yes.
more you can create that
Yep.
reality for yourself, whether it's relationship, whether it's wealth, whether it's a home,
Mm-hmm.
the things that you truly desire and are fulfilled by. That's what you're saying. Am I
Yes.
getting it right?
You
Okay.
are. And the same goes for your power as well. So that same
Mm.
clarity, you're looking at this person exerting their power onto you as some life lesson. If there is a lesson in it, I don't believe there is. I'm believing it's clarity, is that it's showing you have power. You're just not using it. You're allowing them to cross your boundaries instead of saying, no, this is as far as you go. This is where I'm going to show up, or this is where I leave you, whatever it is that you need to say. You're just not saying it because your confidence got chipped away at and chipped away at and chipped away
Mm.
at. And so people like me, like Bree, like, all Shalene, all of the healers, the workers out there who are saying, you are great. So you're not listening to me when I tell you how awesome and amazing you are, but that one little nothing of a person who decided to say, but blue is not your color. You shouldn't wear blue. And you're like, oh my God, I should never wear blue again. And you're like, what the heck do they know? What color school did they go to? Whatever. It's like, who made you president of, or the color police? And whoever did, I take that title away from you because I'm wearing blue. You can't stop me. And that's what I'm gonna do. And so when you have enough power, when you stop looking at all the external things, but that's work, to stop listening and looking at the external things. So the first thing I'm saying, don't go there yet. That's a lot. That's graduate school. You're not in graduate school yet. So the first thing you're going to do is, if you're going to pay attention to the bad information, you also got the negative, you also got to pay attention to the positive. So if the negative is penetrating you, let the positive. I'm going to tell you how awesome you are, and you're not going to believe me. And then somebody else is going to tell you you suck, and you're going to believe them. That's not fair. Don't do that to me, and don't do that to yourself. And then after you start believing both of those, just let them weigh the same, because none of that really matters. Me saying you're wonderful and they saying you're not, none of it really matters. What really matters is how you feel about yourself. And the only reason you don't feel great about yourself is because somebody told you sucked. If nobody ever told you sucked, right now, you would feel the same way you did when you were born. What?
Oh, that was beautiful. That was so good. Oh my gosh. Just so you nailed like the steps too. Like I love that. I love that visual of like you're letting the negative stuff affect you. Why don't you let the positive stuff in the same way?
Yeah.
So true. So true. And social media is such a great example. You mentioned Shalene, our good friend, and people on social media who have such a powerful, uplifting influence in our lives. But that doesn't do anything for you if all you do is listen to the haters and listen to people who are negative, because that negativity is coming from inside of them, and they're just looking for anywhere for it to land so they can they're really looking for love. Attention for them in any way usually feels like some kind of love, and so they're just spewing that negativity, and you don't need to let it penetrate you.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And I want to say something, because I know that people are going to look at you, they're going to look at me, they're going to look at Shalene. It's like, but Shalene, but Kenay, right? They're going to say, but you're this way, so you can be confident because you're that, right? We're all the same.
We're all the same. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And it took me so much. I talk about this stuff all the time about where I came from and how much work I've done, to be this strong woman.
Yep.
And
the work.
I'm so grateful for, I won't call them my lessons, but I'm so grateful for my life. I'm so grateful that it's been challenging, because it's the challenges that make us see who we are, right? Because in the challenges, we get to do our work. And that's why I literally create challenges, workout challenges, because in the challenges, we talk about the mentality it takes to get up and show up for something every day, to get up and show up for yourself, right? Yep. And it doesn't matter if it's a workout challenge or you're challenging yourself each day on social media to what you're going to focus on. I feel like it's the challenges and the way we rise through them that is part of our work.
Absolutely.
We got to have that awareness of it.
Right.
Is all.
So when people are looking at you, when people are looking at me, when they're looking at Shalene, you can't give the excuse that, oh, I'm not like them, because the only difference is the work that we've done. over the years,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe we had a more resilience and didn't let our confidence get chipped away at. In my case, I had a really strong mother. She was an executive. She always poured into us, like no matter whatever decision we made, she never told us because I told you so. Like, do this because I said so. We always had the right to understand why this decision was the right decision for my life, because it's my life. It's not her life. She gave me life, but you heard the sentence. She gave it to me. We're not sharing this life. You gave me life, lady. So this is my life. And she always treated me that way. Wake up in the morning. She says, Kenay, are you going to school? She doesn't say, get up, you got to go to school. It's 6:15. Yeah. No yelling, none of that. It was just, are you going to school? Even if I was late. She's like, because if you're going, you need to get up. And of course, the answer to that is yes. It wasn't like I could say, no, I'm good. I'm going to stay in bed today. I knew that wasn't the answer, but just the fact that she allowed me to have enough sense to make that decision on my own. But because she did that so early, I didn't get to teenage years and then wow out. Like, no, I'm not going to school. Or, yeah, I'm going to tell you I'm going to school, and then I'm going over Jasmine's house. And there will be boys there.
She gave you autonomy early on.
Exactly. Yes.
And that's powerful. I remember I got to go just before COVID started. I got to see Oprah live, and she had Gayle King, and they were having this amazing conversation on stage. And she was talking about parenting. And she said, the thing about it is that when your kids are young, you need to be the manager. And then as they get older, you need to shift into the role of the consultant. You can't keep trying to manage people's lives. Yeah. And I was like, that is such a good analogy, because you see what people are doing so often. Like, they can't detach from the relationship, and they can't detach. It's all about control, which comes back to love, right? And how we get love, like what you were talking about before. And it just stuck with me because I thought, gosh, that's such a great way to frame it. And well, a lot of why people have trouble with attachment and why they can't let go of control in their kids' lives. And like you said, a lot of this stuff around money and around relationships, it all, comes from what we see as children and what we absorb. It's challenging to get out of those patterns. We were talking earlier about the difference between insecurity versus being self-conscious. Mm-hmm. I would love for you to explain the difference between those two, because it's really interesting how.
Insecure, that is a lot more external, like you're feeling it internally, right? But it has a lot more to do with the external things. Oh, I'm not like this person. You're comparing, right? I'm not like this. I'm not like that. I'm not like this. Oh, I don't fit into any of these things. That's the insecurity. And even though it's happening inside of you as you look at these outside things, it really is about the outside things, which is what's making you feel like you don't measure up. Now, that's part of a paradigm, because as you begin to stop focusing on those outside things, or taking that first step where you're at least letting them hit you equally, and then eventually the positive ones are building you up much more. And so then you start to say, oh, well, maybe I'm not like that, and I'm not like that, and I'm not like that, but I don't quite know what I am. And then you become a little bit more self-conscious. Well, was that okay? Well, is that good? How did that feel? And self-conscious is when it becomes more inner. How does that make me feel? Did I feel good when I did that? That is self-conscious. Am I considering others, right? Did I do this thing and hurt my sister? Or did I do this thing and now my husband thinks that I did this because I'm going up against him? What, let me consider that. So self-consciousness is a lot more inner and considerate. And you want to see, I'm all about progression. Like, you're not going to wave your magic wand and be Shalene Johnson, right?
She's one of a kind anyway.
I know, yes. It's like, it's not happening. And so if you could, though, take a path towards this meaningful life. And part of that meaningful life, and the biggest part of that, is your relationship with yourself. How do you feel about yourself? Because you all have probably heard it before. You say worse things about yourself that you would not even let anybody say to you. If I said the things that you say to you, you'd be so upset with me. If I said right now on this podcast, you're fat, you're ugly, you're not good enough. If I said that to you, oh, I would have so many social media messages when I got back to my Instagram. But you feel comfortable saying that to yourself. Why? Why? So if you're going to talk about yourself, why don't you just talk about what's going well? So today, I'm going to give you a challenge. Today only, you don't have to do it for a long time. If somebody happens to ask you, how are you? Just shift that sentence into what's going well. So don't go, well, these kids, oh my gosh, and then this COVID, and then blah, blah, blah. No. Just talk about what's going well. Oh, it's great. I heard this really cool podcast with this really amazing woman on there. And so just talk about what's going well. And once you get in the habit of talking about what's going well, it helps you to not focus on the negative so much. And so you begin to talk about what's going well. And then you look at, well, you know what? I'm better than I thought I was. And then you start to move over into that self-consciousness. Now, self-conscious just means you're aware. Goes back to what we talked about. You just want to have that awareness, not judgment. So you're aware, but then you can get more curious. Okay, so I've done this. I see that I'm good at that. That's what's going well. But what else can I do? How far can I take this? I did the 21-day challenge, but could I do it longer? Could I make this my lifestyle? Is it okay that I have a few curves? Because I did get quite a few compliments in that one dress the last time, okay. And I did feel really good when I looked in the mirror. I was like, wow, look at me. And so it doesn't necessarily mean you have to fit some box. Because let me tell you, for those of you watching on YouTube or seeing this video or on social media or something, you see that I'm a Black female. But growing up, I read 17 magazine and Teen magazine. There was no Black female to tell me what beauty was like. But I knew I was beautiful. I was smart too, which was double whammy. I was like, you can't mess with me. I'm smart and I'm pretty. You don't want to mess with me. But I knew this. And so I didn't need anybody on the outside to tell me. I didn't need anybody to look like me. All I needed to know was that 5'2" was good enough for me. Because even though I can't reach the stuff at the grocery store that's like really high, it's okay because I could always ask some dude to do it for me. And that's and that goes back to using our power. I don't care that he's taller than me. I don't care that he's more powerful, strong. I'm like, thank goodness you're stronger than me. Can you do some work? I need some work done. Like,
right. You had
created equal.
You talked in this, that's what I was just going to ask about, because you talked about that in a podcast recently about how we all have gifts and strengths. And I love that. Yep. So I love that and by the way, I'm 5'1", so you're taller than me.
And you do not look 5'1". I would have never guessed that.
My personality is 6 feet tall. I'll just have you know. Yours too. I know.
We walk in a room together. It's gonna be like, look at the basketball players that just came in.
That's right. We got game. Hilarious. Talk about this concept of how we're not all created equal and why that's a good thing.
Thank goodness we're not all created equal. My boyfriend is 6'4", and he is he's one of those people who thinks of every single detail, like down to the everything. I can't because I'm not a detailed person. I don't even know what it's down to. That's how much of a non-detailed person I am. He thinks of everything. I don't. Thank goodness. But he is so freaking good at that. I am not. I'm not trying to be good at either because I'm a gut person, because he will overanalyze everything. And so if I say to him, no more analyzing, it's time to go. This train is leaving the station. Either you're on it or you're not. He has to get on it because I'm a gut person. I'm go, go, go. I look at the details along the way. Oh my goodness, I probably should have planned for that. I didn't. Now what would I do?
Got to figure it out.
Exactly. Right. And so it's a great thing that we're not all created equal, because everybody can't be a CEO. You and I are CEOs of our companies, and we hire, we have family members and friends, and just people that we are giving to. But if I wasn't the visionary, then there wouldn't be this idea, this presidential lifestyle idea. And my operations person is a detail person. thank goodness, because I couldn't do it without her. I don't need anybody. I don't need another visionary. And so if we were all created equal, we're just all visionaries, we're just all white women, we're just all Black women, we're all white men, like whatever. We do not need to be all the same. We need to be complementary,
Yes.
we need that to go together. And there's this idea that so people say we're all created equal. The whatever it is, it was not the Constitution, but the other thing says we're all, one of those things that America likes to talk about.
The Declaration of Independence, I believe.
Yes, says that we're all created equal, as if that is a claim to fame, right? Thank goodness we're all created equal. It's not. But you know what? Those 16 people who sat in that room were all similar. They were all the same.
Yes, they were all the same.
So that made sense to put on that piece of paper for them, because they were all the same. But that's not America.
They were looking at it from very narrow frame of mind at the time.
Exactly. But that's not America. That room was not America. That room was not indicative of what America was even at the time, nor what it was going to become.
Right.
So if we all were created equal, there's so much that we wouldn't have. We need all the different places. We need all the different people. We need a receptionist and we need a CEO. Both of those jobs are needed to run that company, because if nobody's at the front door to greet them, they don't care how great the CEO is. And like, I walked into that place and nobody said hello to me. I stood at the front for minutes, what felt like hours, and nobody said anything. We need that receptionist. Thank gosh that receptionist is there.
I'm so blessed to have the most amazing team. And one of the things that we use, there's this incredible woman, I think she's in her 80s now, Kathy Colby, who created the Colby Index. I don't know if you've heard of it. But it basically, yeah, it's amazing. This is how I've done all of my hiring over the years. And that's Colby with a K, in case you're interested, Kolbe, those listening. And the Colby Index basically gives you 4 numbers. And these 4 numbers are not good, bad. Each one you'll get like 1 to 10 on each of them, right? And the 4 numbers are a spectrum, right? So you're either long or short on the spectrum. You're not good or bad. You're not high or low. You're long or short. And the 4 numbers, what they mean, the first one is fact finder. So whether I bet that your man is a high fact finder or a long fact finder, because he likes the details. And I'm in the middle of the fact finder spectrum. I like to get facts, but I also can simplify things and take quick action. Someone who's a short fact finder, for example, is very quick. They like probably more like you, Kenay, someone who's like quick to jump through it. But that's why we balance ourselves out with people who are different than us. And I've heard Kathy say this time and time again. She says, thank goodness for you. Thank goodness for how you're different. Thank goodness you're not someone else, because the world needs you and your gifts. We're all different, right? So the second number is your follow through. And you might think, oh, if I have a short follow through, I'm not someone who follows up to my word. Well, this has nothing to do with your character. It has everything to do with how much energy it takes you to complete a long task. I hire a lot of people on my team who have a very long follow through, because mine is very short. Mine too. And I'm an initiator of things, right? Like I'm the next number, which is quick start. I'm a 9 there, and that's really high. That means that's the visionary energy, right? And so I need to hire people who are long, and the other ones for me to balance me out. And the last one is implementer, and that just deals with how you like to work with tangible things. But I just thought I'd share that because this concept is universal. We need different people to make the world go around. And I think the thing that's been missed for so long is that we don't respect, acknowledge, and appreciate the differences as we should.
Absolutely.
And that is what we all need to be focusing on now, as we say, hey, we're not all the same. Let's let's acknowledge and appreciate our differences and find the strength in all of us.
Right, absolutely. Together. And let's also recognize that because we're not all equal, we are not going to have all the same privileges or benefits, or things that we can take advantage of. And so that's the reason why I talk about us not being equal, is because of the race relations conversation that happens sometimes. And we are not all equal in the sense that when it comes to America, some countries, different story. When it comes to America, there are obstacles in the way depending on your ethnicity. And I'm not necessarily going to tell people to be thankful for those obstacles, but they do create a certain amount of creativity. And I say so often that if there is a workaround, I'm going to find it, right? So maybe I'm not going to go straight to the apply for the job the same way a white woman would apply for the job, because I know that I might not get in that way because I got a few obstacles ahead of me. But I'll say, oh, but maybe if I introduce myself to the CEO, the CFO, to whoever, right? Because I'm going to find out what country club he plays tennis at, and I'm going to that same country club to play tennis. He can't help but love me. It's not possible. So I'm already knowing I'm in. This is good. When the CEO says you probably need to hire her, go see her, then it's happening. I will do the workaround. I might not take that straight line, and it might be a little bit more work. I might have to go to the country club and play tennis and all those things. But it's kind of creative, but it might also be fun. So yeah, there might be obstacles, but the obstacles might take you different places. And then you do all of that, right? You join the country club, you play tennis with the CEO, you find you don't even freaking like the CEO. You don't want to work for that company anyway, but you meet somebody else.
I love the story. Oh my gosh.
And that's my life. That is my life. So it's like you could get angry at these obstacles, and it freaking just is the way it is. And we're working on it. We are working on it. That's why we're in such an uproar right now. We're working on it, but it's progress. It's just like I've been saying this whole podcast, step by step by step. We are not waving a magic wand and erasing racism. It's not happening. But if we start with love, then we can chip away at it and chip away at it and chip away at it, just like people have done with confidence. If you can chip away at confidence in a person, you can definitely chip away at racism, because that's just hate and ignorance. And so you chip away at that ignorance and you just love on them, love on them. Nobody can resist love because we're all looking for it.
Mic drop. Boom. Yes. Oh, that is so good, Kenay. So helpful. Such a great framework for everyone listening. And I feel like a lot of what you're talking about comes down to we need to get clarity as a culture in America. We need clarity on what we really want to invite in, and awareness of what is currently going on. Just like you talked about earlier, if you're trying to create something in your life, you need clarity and you need awareness so that you can get to that loving place. Yep. And that's what we're trying to do and working on right now as a culture.
Yes.
And these principles can be applied to money. They can be applied to all of these different things culturally and in our lives, and they are all so applicable. Yep. So I love that framework that you just gave us to use.
Yes. And so I want to leave, like, one of the last things I want to make sure we talk about is that this love that we're all searching for, we're all looking for, doesn't let us lose our power. Like we give away so much because we're looking for love. This is the boundary crossing events happen because we're looking for love. And so we allow people to cross our boundaries because that we believed that they're going to love us more. And remember what I said about my story with my big sister. I didn't get more love by serving and being the hero. I didn't get more love. That's not what happened. I got frustrated because I thought that was the way that I was supposed to get love. Instead, I learned later that what if I could just be myself and not rescue everybody and just say, hey, there's some resources I have that might be helpful to you. They've helped me in the past. I can share them with you. And then they can take what I have and use it and apply it to their lives. That's the guide, right? The guide is not going to do the fight for you. The guide is going to give you the weapons. Right. It's like, it's on you. And so look at where you are allowing those boundary crossing events to happen. You're going to pay attention to where are you trying to get love, and are you really getting it? How many times did it result in actual real love? How many times did you love them back, right? Because most of the time you do the thing because you resent. You don't even feel love. So you're not feeling love. They're not feeling love. So why are we doing it?
Because we're stuck in a pattern that we need to have awareness of so we can get clarity.
Exactly.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You have an amazing quiz that I've taken. It's a Life of Meaning quiz. Mm-hmm. Is it okay if I share the link with my audience?
Yes, please.
Because it's so fantastic. It's just presidentiallifestyle.com/meaning-quiz. And we're going to put that in the show notes along with links to Kenay's podcast, to all of her work, and everything that she does, because she's an amazing resource, someone who I really trust and learn from and really recommend to you all to get involved with, listen to, and use her quizzes. They're really wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest. And I look forward to connecting with you again soon and following up with you on this awesome conversation. Thank you so much.
This has been so rich. Like, we talked about so many things. Yeah. Thank you.
So many good things. Yeah. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our listeners for being here for this conversation. We look forward to your comments and feedback. Yes. We'll talk to you again soon. And coming up next week, we'll return to the Women's Hormone Health Series for a conversation with Elisa Vitti, well-known creator of the Cycle Syncing Method and author of In the Flow. I have learned so much from this smart author, and she's got some deep insights into our female cycle that I feel like I want to share with literally every woman and girl out there. So I wish I had known this stuff that she talks about way back when I was a teenager. But the great thing is we can all learn it together now and take advantage of these powerful frameworks to live stronger and more in sync with our incredible female bodies. I can't wait to talk to you again next week. Until then, I'm Betty Rocker, and you are so awesome and amazing.
This podcast is for information purposes only. Statements and views expressed on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Brie Argetzinger, Betty Rocker Inc., and the producers disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. Before starting a new exercise, fitness, or health protocol, or if you think you have a medical problem, always consult a licensed physician.